Greetings all, welcome to a special edition of Week in Geek. We are going to review Deadpool, which came out this week. Cram and I checked it out yesterday, and we have to say, we really loved it.
They did a really good job with this one. They were really true to the character, and I mean, they really earned that hard R rating.
Yeah, I cannot begin to tell you guys how serious I am about this. This movie is not for children, and yet I am still seeing internet chatter that says people are bringing their kids, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. Seriously, guys, this is not for children. This is a hard R. This movie was almost rated X. That being said, folks, we love the movie. It's fantastic, and apparently audiences are agreeing with us. It's a big hit on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's making a ton of money, breaking records left and right for an R-rated film that's coming out in February. Looks like it's on track to make $150 million, which, considering the budget, is a ton of money.
So let's go ahead and let's dive in on the story real quick. We actually start in the middle of the storyline in an action scene that should look fairly familiar, was very common in a lot of the trailers, was actually the original test footage that was leaked online, and really caused this movie to get made in the first place. We then go back in time to learn a little bit more about Deadpool and Wade Wilson, the underlying person who is before he becomes Deadpool, and find out that this is actually a love story.
At its heart, this is truly a love story between Wade and his prostitute girlfriend, Vanessa. She is right up his alley in terms of evil sense of humor, and they have quite a raunchy love affair that lasts, I think, a year's time goes by very quickly in a cool montage that uses holidays and sex in a very unique way that I am still disturbed about.
After that, we jump back into now present day again, back into our fight. Carrying the storyline forward a little bit more, we had the introduction of Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Love that name. So
oh,
good.
She's great.
Yeah. And so we carry back into the fight scene a little bit more. We carry the story arc a little bit forward, and then we go back again.
A couple cool things to note. It's nice to see the Westchester school that the X-Men live in. Colossus is fully CGI through the entire movie and finally has a Russian accent. Thank you for that. And also Negasonic Teenage Warhead, for those of you who don't know, the black and yellow uniform she's wearing is the school uniform for students who have not graduated yet and haven't become full X-Men, where they then get to pick their uniforms. So cool tip of the hat to old New Mutants territory.
We then jump back to our love story. We find out that Wade is ready to propose to the love of his life and then proceeds to get cancer. And not just any cancer, cancer all throughout his body, and he's pretty much about to die. A man comes out from the shadows and offers him a deal that he can't refuse. The ability for him to live on and become a superhero.
This, of course, is somebody from what looks to be the Weapon X program, which Deadpool is a member of. And as they're wheeling him through their facility, we are treated to a cameo from Merc, one of my personal favorite X-Men that is completely underused, and I would love to see her utilized in a future film, so who knows, maybe this cameo is setting us up for that.
So in the facility, we find out exactly what happens and how Deadpool gets created, where they inject him with a variety of different things to cause the mutation to occur.
This is where we meet the main villain. This is Ajax. He's a real son of a bitch in the film. His mutant ability is that he does not feel pain or anything else for that matter, and he also has enhanced reflexes and what looks to be some level of super strength. We also get to meet Angel Dust. She is the amalgam, for those of you who don't know, of 3 different characters that were smashed together for the purposes of saving some budget on the film to get the film greenlit to make it happen in the first place.
So after Deadpool has his mutant abilities activated by essentially torture, he ends up finding a way to blow up the lab and escape, and he ends up ruining the whole place and burning the whole place down, and he survives through this.
That's essentially the origin of Deadpool. Some other things happen in between to get us caught up to speed, but we wind up back in the present, which is where the fight was taking place, and Deadpool has Ajax on the ropes when Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead come up to screw up the whole thing. At that point, there's some beats in between. I don't want to ruin the whole movie for you guys, but the climax big fight scene is between Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Angel Dust, and Ajax, who we now know his name is Francis, which he absolutely hates, and Deadpool uses 2 absolutely hilarious ways to really get under his skin and drive him absolutely crazy.
So the storyline here really isn't that complicated. I mean, we're coming in the middle of a fight scene, we're chasing Francis down, And it's not really that much time before the end of the movie from where we come in, because a lot of it actually is backstory to really establish who Deadpool is. This isn't a bad thing, though. I mean, this works out really well because it keeps the story moving, and I never felt like at any point in time like this was really lagging or anything like that. The way that they constructed everything and they put it together and they moved back and forth from what we're considering the present back into the past and then back to the present, it really worked very well, and it kept the movie going to the point where I never felt like, oh my god, get on with it. They really did a good job of making sure to keep it moving.
Yeah, one criticism about thin plots, or people say there's not enough plot or it's too simple. To me, that's not really the important part. It's the execution of it that really matters. Quick backstory on the character, and by the way, both creators of the characters' names are mentioned several times in the movie, which is pretty funny. But Deadpool was actually pretty serious right out of the gate. He was yet another Weapon X guy. He could regenerate. None of the comedy stuff. And honestly, he probably would have faded into obscurity if it weren't for the turn to make him so goofy, and especially the fact that he knows he's a comic book character, and in this film he knows he's a film character. But it's interesting to note, and I know this is intentional because I read this from the movie's creators, he only starts talking to the audience when he becomes Deadpool. So when he's Wade Wilson, that never happens. Once he's transformed and has the costume and the disfiguration, that's when he starts talking to the audience. So pretty cool take on the character, but I'm telling you, that is not the way he was set up to begin with, and so good on whoever decided to take that turn, because that really saved him. Ryan Reynolds was basically born to play this character. It seems like every movie he's done up to this point has been leading to this character. I know he got a shot at it playing him in the Wolverine movie, but that movie is terrible, and that is a horrible representation of what Deadpool's all about. And by the way, that character makes a quick appearance in this film, which is really hilarious. But he's got the wit, he's got the looks, he's got the whole thing down pat. Everything about Ryan Reynolds screams Deadpool, and I know he loves the role because of all the commercials and the videos. He stole one of the suits. He wants to play him for the rest of his life. He's probably going to get buried in the suit, to be honest with you. So good on Ryan Reynolds for making this character what he is, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a huge hit because of it.
So overall, I think I really liked most the fact that they stuck to their guns. They went for an R rating on this. It wouldn't have been right if they would have tried to go for a PG-13 on this. There's so many little elements in the movie that are Deadpool that wouldn't have happened if this was a PG-13 movie. They went pretty much no holds barred on the comedy, and they stuck true to the character in terms of some of the things. I really like the way that they built up his character, and they didn't waste too much time, but they did show at least enough of a little bit of an evolution, especially tying back to some of the other little things. For example, like, why is the suit red? So they don't see me bleed. He actually goes through that, and you see a situation where it's, he's wearing a white suit, and you see him bleeding because he gets all shot up and stuff. There's the evolution.
I also like his supporting cast. I thought Weasel was absolutely hilarious. That guy's gonna make a lot of bank off this movie, playing bit parts in other films. And the addition of Leslie Uggams totally caught me off guard as his roommate, and she is hysterical. So I love the supporting cast on the movie. There is a post-credits scene. I'm not going to give it away, but I will say there's technically two. It's really just a continuation, so if you think you're done with the first one, make sure you wait a minute because the other one comes back around. Interestingly, I read some articles where for the preview audiences, they showed them the first post-credit scene, but then they didn't show them the second one, and that makes sense when you see it. I don't want to give it away. You'll get it. It's very cool.
One of the things that I liked that I thought they did a really good job with was changing around Negasonic Teenage Warhead and changing up her powers and giving her a lot of really new and interesting abilities to help drive the story forward and really be useful in the storyline here as compared to the comic book character, which was really not anywhere near as developed as the character in the movie. And
the actress who plays her is great. She's likable in an unlikable way, but she nails the character. It's very fun. One very unique thing about this movie, and I bet anyone we're going to see it happen in a lot of comic book movies going forward, is the eye animation on Deadpool's mask. For those of you who think it's too subtle, I know some people noticed it, some people didn't, is that they open and close his eyes to give the mask more emotion. one of the problems with the Spider-Man films was that the mask was very static, especially the Green Goblin. There was a lot of complaints that Willem Dafoe just has no emotion because the face is so completely static that you're not getting anything you need out of it. I've only seen that used effectively once, and that was V is for Vendetta, and that's only because Hugo Weaving is such a damn good actor that he didn't need the emotion on the mask to pull it off. But the Deadpool eyes thing, I'm telling you, you're going to see it happen.
Yeah, it really helps the audience connect with the character a lot better and really helps translate what the character is feeling at that given point in time beyond what we've seen in a lot of other cases, like you pointed out with Spider-Man.
One thing I didn't like about the movie, and boy, this is really minor and does not detract from anything, is that Vanessa is a mutant herself. In the books, she's Copycat, and she has the ability to shapeshift into another person, but she also gains their abilities, so she essentially becomes that person. Now, I don't know if they were doing some of that with her hairstyles throughout the film. If they were, it's super subtle. If they weren't, not a big deal. I don't really care one way or the other. It'd be nice if maybe they bring it about in another movie, but I'm telling you guys, Copycat is Vanessa. She is a mutant. They just didn't touch it.
I have a feeling that to some degree they may have wanted to touch on that, but they ended up cutting that out of the film because of budgetary reasons or time reasons or something like that.
Could be.
There was something that came up in the trailer where she said, "I'm not used to being a damsel in distress," and that wasn't showed at all in the movie. And so it must have ended up on the cutting room floor, and maybe that's where we would have seen that power come out. But I have a feeling that we'll probably see it come out in the sequel.
Fair enough.
When it comes to my dislike, I really couldn't come up with anything. I mean, this movie had me belly laughing on several occasions, and the whole theater was just filled with laughter. And again, I can't think of anything that I really disliked about the movie enough to even mention it here.
And honestly, the Vanessa thing is so minor. I don't want anybody to walk away with thinking that I was like focused on it the whole movie, because to me, the movie's an A+. They nailed it, knocked it out of the park, really true to the character, honored the R rating, and really embraced it. I'm hoping that we're going to see more in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll actually get a decent Punisher movie out of it. But I love the movie. To me, it gets an A+. Fantastic.
I would agree as well. This is definitely one you want to go see in the theater. So spend a little bit more. Go see it on the big screen. It really is worth it for some of the action sequences and just to be there with other folks and enjoy the comedy.
Oh yeah, a lot of people laughing, a lot of people cheering, a lot of people cringing at certain scenes. Good stuff, totally worth to see it in the theaters, and we are absolutely going to be seeing it again. In fact, I'm taking Mrs. Nave tomorrow. Alright guys, we're done fawning all over Deadpool. Seriously, we love the movie. We highly recommend seeing it. Go to the theaters. Love it, love it, love it. Don't take your children.
He's right. Do not take your children. And again, we really couldn't come up with much that we didn't like about it, and there were a lot of things that we mentioned here. But if there's something that you thought that was worth mentioning, let us know in the comments down below, whether it's something that you liked or something that you didn't like.